Hi. I'm reviewing I guess it's not my first Grimm can I ever had, but the first Grimm can I'm gonna do a review of. It's their Super Spruce. So the deal with this is that it's dry hopped sour. They just say sour, but it is a Gose. And they also use spruce tips, so it uses Chinook, which is one of the piniest of all the hops. And then they also, I don't know if they do dry hopping with spruce tips or when exactly they add them in. So it's big on the pine, but it also has salt and it's sour. Pretty sure they don't use coriander. The hops and the spruce are kind of standing in for the spicing that Goses usually have with coriander. It's 4.7% alcohol. It was canned on November 12th, so it's 15 days old, very fresh. First time I had this was on tap a couple years ago. I think that may have been back when they even did some slight like oak aging of it, but it seems like they don't do that anymore, especially because it's definitely a way bigger batch. Because I was able to buy a 4-pack cans of this. First time I also was able to buy a 4-pack cans from Grimm, so hopefully they keep shipping that stuff up here. One day maybe they'll ship their IPAs. And maybe they should do some of their milder dry hop sours that I've really enjoyed in the past, some of the fruited ones. But I remember liking this when I had it on tap. So we'll see. I'm not a huge fan of the dry hop sours, especially Goses these days. Just not into the really tart beers. I just can't take that much acid. And this has a pretty nice haze to it. You can't even really see through there. Very, very pale. It's unboiled. That's something they like to say, so it's not going to have a caramelized boiled barley quality at all. Pretty nice head going on there. That looks like a promising Gose. And you get the spruce for sure. And it also just kind of smells like a Gose. Definitely some salty sea qualities. But it smells like you're next to a big evergreen forest. But on the shores of the ocean, lots of rocks, mineral notes coming out of there. There's a little bit of a citrusy quality coming from the Chinook too. Definitely some very bitter, pithy white grapefruit in the nose. It smells like it's going to be pretty sour and astringent. Maybe there's a light sweet barley note in there hidden. But just a sprucey Gose mainly describes it well. I guess lemon grapefruit. Whew. That is a lot like just drinking straight up grapefruit juice. Quite bitter actually, and quite tart at the same time. And then it finishes with a little bit of a sweet, sappy, piney, Christmassy quality. Yeah, I wonder what it would be like if you added some like cardamom or some other sweet, warming spices to a beer like this. If that would just be out of control, it'd be too much like your Yankee Candle during the holiday season. I might like the smell more. Quite tart. Unless you're really into that pucker quality. I guess it's not making me pucker intensely. There's no vinegar in this, it's all just lactic acid, but a lot of lactic acid. I kind of just bought this because it was like, oh, it's a special thing. Don't know when I'll be able to get it again, but it is quite sour. It's not really overwhelmingly so. I'm not like regretting buying the 4-pack. I'm glad I did it, but I probably will never get it again. I do like these lingering spruce flavors and how there's a little bit touch of sweetness, and the Chinook helps to bring out some more citrusy, slight sweet citrus qualities. It's not just all like drinking a pine cone. It's not like I'm just having like a West Coast IPA that's sour. That would be really unpalatable. But I think most people probably wouldn't be a huge fan of this beer. It is pretty sharp, and a lot of flavors that are not evolutionarily built into what humans like to taste. It's bitter, it's sour, it's salty, it's a lot of things that no one wants in their beer. But really interesting, back and forth between the green spruce qualities and the sour citrus, along with some bitterness too. But the bitterness is not coming from like a lot of actual boiled hop bitterness. They said, they didn't boil this beer at all. So that means that there are no bittering hops in it. But because of the sourness and the dry hopping and the spruce, it's definitely getting a lot of perceived bitterness. Because it's not a soft, sour sort of Berliner Weisse type thing. It is in your face. Like if this were just a little bit sweeter, a little less sour, I might be like really a huge fan of it. But it is done really, really well. So if you're into this sort of thing, I really recommend it. If you're into like spruce tip pale ales and not really sour beers, I wouldn't recommend it. You have to be really into sour Goses first. I would say first and foremost, it is a Gose. It does have some body, even though it's so dry and so low alcohol. It's not watery. And there's a nice floral grapefruit sweetness that's building a bit. And even though it's a little too sour for my tastes, clearly I'm able to keep sipping this. I don't know if you can hear my cat trying to break in here and ruin my review. But I'd give this a 4+. A couple years ago, I would have been way more into this when my taste buds were just more into tart things. But it's not gross like most dry hop sours I honestly have to say I've had over the past couple of years. I'm really picky. Some dry hop sours are like my favorites. Some of the juicier, sweeter ones that have Brettanomyces funk. But usually the simple kettle sours with dry hops I'm not a big fan of, but I would recommend this one if you're a fan of it. It's a lot better than most dry hop kettle sours, I would say. Better than like 95%. They know what they're doing with this one. They've been doing it for years too. And it's perfect for the holiday season, even though it's, a beer like this, you'd think, oh, you want some tart, refreshing thing in the summertime. If you need something to cut all the sweet, rich, dark beers you're drinking, this is a great alternative. That's it. Bye.